Hello, I'm the pharmacist Sarasakis, and I'm gonna tell you something. It is about my explanation about methodology in TESOL materials as an assignment from my lecturer in my major, English Education, Teacher and Training in Universitas Majalengka. The material is about describing the language, and I will provide you my presentation uh, in this part. Okay, the first slide, you can look that is about the language itself. As we know that language is the way we express our meaning, express our messages to the other people using words, sentences, and phrases in the written or spoken form. But using language means that we need to understand the elements of language. Okay, take a look to the next slide. The elements of language. The first element of language is grammar. Grammar is the structure rules for the use of sentences, phrases, and words in any language. Okay, take a look to the next slide. The grammar always related to the change of sentences. Take a look to this slide. The sentence will be work when we put the number of elements in the right place, such as subject, verb, complement, adverbial. That's all. Take a look to the example here. I have two examples with the same sentence, but with a different meaning. The first sentence, it is warm in here. It is warm in here. There are subject in it and is as the verb, but different with the second sentence. Is it warm in here? This sentence, there are is for the verb and it for the subject. That's called grammar. Both of them are the correct sentence. Okay. The next slide is about the second elements of language, pronunciation, the way we spoke the words. Okay, take a look to the same example. It is warm in here. The pitch of our voice will be changed, will be higher when we say it is warm in here, focused on warm. When we say warm, our pitch will be higher or stressed, but different with the second sentence. Is it warm in here? Asking questions. It will be focused to the words here. When we say here, our pitch is higher than the warm. That's the difference. Okay. The next slide is about vocabulary. Vocabulary aims to express the particular meaning. Same example for the vocabulary. It is warm in here, contain of 5 words. And these words are called vocabulary. I hope you get it. The next slide is about forms and meanings. Form and meanings consist of two kinds. The first is one form, many meanings, and the second is one meaning, many forms. For the first types, take a look to the example, book and beat. I choose beat. Beat has one form. Also, beat has many meanings. How can? Beat can be used for the rhythms of the music, but also can be used for the competition to win. And beat also can be used for hit, to hit in, to hit the table, to hit the other. That's called one form, many meanings. The second types is one meaning, many forms. Take a look to the examples. Clever and good. I choose good. Good has one meaning, but good has many forms. How can? Okay, the meaning of good in bahasa is bagus, but we can use the other words as the other forms for defining bagus. We can use well, we can use nice, we can use best for defining the good. That's called one meaning, many forms. Nah, the next elements of language is part of speech. This is the important part. Part of speech consists of nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, determiners, prepositions, and conjunctions. I will explain one by one. Okay, the first is noun phrase. Noun phrase consists of nouns, pronouns, and determiners. For the nouns consists of collective and compound, countable and uncountable nouns. Nouns can be collective when we describe the groups or the organization. For example, team, family, government, organization, that's called collective nouns. Then nouns can be compound when we use more than one nouns but being one word. For example, boyfriend, girlfriend, town hall. Those words contain two nouns, girl and friend, boy and friend, town and hall, but it can be being one word. That's called compound nouns. The next types of nouns is countable and uncountable nouns. As like as the name, nouns can be countable when nouns can be counted. For example, I have 3 sugar. Did you have 3 candies? That's countable nouns. But nouns can be uncountable nouns when we say, I have a lot of money. I have many candies. That's uncountable nouns. The next is pronouns. Pronouns consist of personal pronouns, object pronouns, reflexive pronouns, possessive pronouns, and relative pronouns. Personal pronouns are I, you, they, we, she, he, and it. For the object pronouns, me, your, her, his, them. Okay, and for the reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, ourself, itself, themselves. And for the possessive pronouns are mine, ours, yours, his, hers, its, theirs. But different with the relative pronouns. Relative pronouns necessary refers to help the reader or the listener to describe the particular thing. Which one will be described for the speaker or the writer? For example, who, where, whose, when, that. That's relative pronouns. Okay, the next is determiners. Determiners consist of definite determiners and indefinite determiners. For the indefinite determiners, it refers to the particular person or a thing that the reader or the listener does know what is that gitu, like or a book, an assignment, and etc. The next is adjective. Adjectives consist of comparative and superlative, adjective as nouns, and adjective as adverbs. For the first types is comparative and superlative. Adjective can be comparative when we use bigger for the big, harder for the hard, older for the old, younger for the young. But adjective also can be superlative when we use biggest for the big, hardest for the hard, largest for the large, oldest for the old, and youngest for the young. That's superlative. Then adjective as nouns. Adjective can be nouns. For example, when we use the blind, the poor, the rich, that's adjective as nouns. Then an adjective can be adverbs. Take a look to the example. The sentence, I had a late lunch. Late in here is the adjective, but different when we say he arrived late. The late of this example is adverbs. That's adjective as adverbs. The next is verbs. Verb consists of verb plus, main verbs, auxiliary verbs, multi-word verbs, regular and irregular verbs. Auxiliary verbs are do, be. It can be the modal auxiliary verbs like would, could, should, can, might, may. That's auxiliary verbs. And the next types of verbs is multi-word verbs. Multi-word verbs. Multi-word verbs is when verb adding the other particular, like a really beautiful girl, an extremely fascinating videos, a really satisfying video. That's called multi-word verbs. Regular and irregular verbs. For the regular, the words put the ed in the end of the past words, like worked, created, worked, and etc. That's called regular verbs. And irregular verbs is different forms, like run, ran, took, eaten, saw, seen, and etc. That's irregular verbs. The next is adverb. Adverb consists of comparative and superlative. For the comparative and superlative, adverbs are louder for the loud, harder for the hard, more quickly for the quick, more softly for the soft, and etc. That's called comparative and superlative adverbs. Okay, the next is prepositions. Prepositions consist of particular prepositions and adverb prepositions. Prepositions is referred to the connects the relationship between two events, like I met him at the cinema, we met at the library, before we go. That's prepositions. And finally, the end of kind of part of speech is conjunctions. Conjunction, the position of conjunction is the middle of the sentence. Like, my family and I are going to beach, and etc. That's conjunction. Okay, that's all the points of my presentation. I hope you can get what I talked in this long duration. Thank you very much.